County 911, where's your emergency?
I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child shot badly. They're not, neither one of them moving.
22-year-old Paul Murdaugh and his mother Margaret Murdaugh were the victims of last night's shooting.
I don't know what to make of it. Real mysterious kind of murder.
He's not Don Corleone. There's not some mafia family out there.
Somebody stopped to help me, and when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
The Murdaugh murders, 1 year later.
Hello and thank you for joining us for a special edition of News 2, the Murdaugh murders 1 year later. I'm Riley Benson. A year ago, when many of us saw the headline, Paul and Margaret Murdaugh killed, we didn't know what to think, who was involved, or how deep this case would go. Now that same name, Murdaugh, conjures images of crime scene tape, murder investigations in courtrooms. Today we're going to take a look at the rise and fall of Alec Murdaugh, as well as the victims he's accused of taking advantage of, and where the murder investigation into his wife and son stand now. We want to begin our look back with a timeline of events laying out how we got to where we are now. June 7, 2021, a year ago today, Paul and Margaret Murdaugh, members of the widely known Murdaugh family, were brutally murdered. What followed, few could predict: the unraveling of a family involving death, millions of dollars in missing money, and dozens of criminal charges, leaving us with more questions than answers. Tucked away in the Lowcountry lies a sleepy little town where fewer strangers and things are mostly quiet, away from the hustle and bustle of South Carolina's cities and beaches. It all changed in the matter of a few hours on June 7, 2021.
County 911, where's your emergency?
A double homicide turning into the crime of the year.
This is Alec Murdaugh.
A call for help just after 10 p.m.
Please hurry.
Alec Murdaugh says he arrived home at his family's sprawling hunting property, finding a gruesome scene.
I need the police to answer immediately. My wife and child shot badly.
22-year-old Paul Murdaugh and his mother Margaret Murdaugh were the victims of last night's shooting. That shooting occurred down this long driveway you see behind me. There's a shed. That's the general area where those bodies were found. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division would lead the investigation. In the days following, investigators said there were no suspects, but also no threat to the community. It was an eyebrow-raising statement for some, while others question exactly what happened behind these Colleton County gates.
It tells me they made a pretty quick determination that this was a targeted killing, that the killers were only interested in these two victims, that it was basically a professional assassination.
Few details released about the shooting.
Did you come home and find them?
No, man, I've been gone. I just came back.
Car towed from the property and two guns were used in the shooting. Paul was shot to the chest and head with a shotgun. Maggie's death certificate still hasn't been released.
I've been up to it now. It's bad. They're not, neither one of them moving.
Over the coming months, details about the investigation were limited. People in the Hampton community fearful to speak out about the Murdaughs.
I don't know what to make of it. Real mysterious kind of murder.
Things reached a boiling point last September. Alec resigned from his family law firm, PMPED, for misappropriating funds. It was a day before a call to 911 for help.
Did they actually shoot you or they tried to shoot you? They shot me.
This time placed by Alec for himself.
And somebody stopped to help me, and when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me. Oh, okay. Were you shot? Yes.
The shooting would spell trouble for Alec, serving as the beginning of a fall from grace for the once highly regarded attorney. Murdaugh was left with two superficial gunshot wounds to his head, but it wasn't what it seemed. It would soon be discovered as a scheme to defraud his insurance company out of $10 million. Murdaugh would be arrested for the first time, receiving bond. Curtis Edward Smith, a longtime accomplice, client, and alleged drug dealer of Murdaugh's, was charged for the shooting of Alec. He quickly claimed it was staged.
I didn't shoot him.
Are you innocent of everything?
I'm innocent. If I'd have shot him, he'd have been dead. He's alive.
News 2's Riley Benson was there this morning.
Brendan, like you mentioned, that was the second bond hearing today here at the Hampton County Detention Center. Curtis Smith was also put in front of a judge here at the Hampton County Detention Center. Murdaugh would spend weeks in a Florida rehab facility while details of criminal activity, connected death investigations, and an opioid addiction began to bubble to the surface. All before SLED went back to Florida, extradited Murdaugh to South Carolina, and arrested him again. While those representing Alec Murdaugh seem to be shocked with the judge's decision to deny his bond. With mounting allegations of financial crimes, Murdaugh's attorneys made clear their client wasn't entirely innocent, but he had no involvement in the double murder of his wife and son.
He's not Don Corleone. There's not some mafia family out there. If there is, then I challenge Mr. Waters to indict him.
By the end of 2021, Murdaugh faced dozens of charges, carrying more than 100 years in prison if found guilty, going before a judge who says Murdaugh remains a threat to himself and the community before setting a record bond. Of course, Paul and Maggie Murdaugh not the only deaths tied to this family. The investigation also shedding light on other alleged victims, including their former housekeeper who died at the Murdaugh's home and a teenage girl who found herself out on the boat with the youngest of the Murdaugh family.
Paul, what bridge is this?
A chilling 911 call on a cold January night detailing a night of heavy drinking for a group of 6 underage friends.
What bridge?
911, where's your emergency? Hello? Police, fire, EMS.
We're in a boat crash on Archer Street.
A boat allegedly driven by grossly intoxicated Paul Murdaugh, traveling at high speeds, crashing into a bridge near Paris Island.
Please send someone.
No.
Records show the group boarded the boat and left a oyster roast just after midnight. Stopped at waterfront bars in Beaufort. Paul, 19 at the time, bought drinks and shots at Luther's before meeting back up with the group and heading up Archer's Creek.
There's 6 of us and one is missing.
Who's missing?
Female Mallory Beach.
Beach was knocked off the boat. Her body wouldn't be recovered until a week later. That investigation remains open. From one frantic scene detailed by a 911 call to another.
911, where's your emergency?
Maggie Murdaugh calling for help from the family's Moselle property February 26, 2018.
My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
Maggie Murdaugh telling the 911 operator her housekeeper Gloria Satterfield tripped and fell down 8 brick stairs leading into the Murdaugh's Moselle home.
Ma'am, she can't talk.
Okay, do you know...
She's cracked her head and there's blood on the concrete and she bleeds out of her left ear.
Satterfield would spend weeks in the hospital. There's no autopsy. Her death ruled as natural causes. The family recently agreeing to allow Gloria's body to be exhumed.
When the coroner investigation opened up, it was just immediately closed and declared a natural death. There's really nothing natural about a 57-year-old woman falling down a flight of steps to her death.
In the months after Paul and Maggie Murdaugh's investigations would uncover a trail of financial crime and fraud.
You know, when the Satterfields first came to us, you know, was this just a one-off? What was it, just a moment of panic or a moment of weakness that you decided to steal some money from the Satterfield family?
The findings showing Alec Murdaugh used his status as an attorney to steal and swindle millions of dollars from grieving families like the Satterfields, who Alec represented over a period of at least 15 years.
What the cases and the indictments are showing is a much more broad-based systemic pattern of fraud.
Now, Alec Murdaugh stands accused of stealing $8.4 million from families who lost loved ones and turned to Alec for help, dating back to 2005, 17 years. Attorneys continue to investigate additional accusations against Alec Murdaugh.
Next on News 2.
A year later, has the investigation into Paul and Maggie's deaths gone cold? After the break, News 2's Aaron Morgan joins me in studio after bringing that question to one of South Carolina's top legal experts. Welcome back to the Murdaugh murders 1 year later. We've told you about the death investigation and the victims the case has shed light on. Now the questions on the minds of many, cold or not, as law enforcement come close to making an arrest in this case. News 2's Aaron Morgan joins us live in studio. Aaron, you spoke to one of the state's foremost authorities about this case from a legal standpoint.
Riley, 1 year, dozens of court appearances, and thousands of phone calls from you, myself, and other journalists asking any updates. And still, the state law enforcement division hasn't made a single arrest tied to those two brutal deaths in Colleton County. But do those facts qualify this as a cold case? I spoke to former Attorney General and Solicitor Charlie Condon, who says absolutely not.
Just from my memory, I can't think of any other case to compare it to.
Alec Murdaugh now faces more than 15 grand jury indictments containing 79 charges for schemes to defraud victims out of nearly $8.5 million. Those victims ranging from his former clients to the family of his former housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield.
Just given what he's been accused of, even the fact that he's got no prior records, still he's really, he's an A-lister in terms of what he's charged with right now.
Defense attorney and former Attorney General Charlie Condon says all these charges piling on sends a message.
I really thought they would have stopped it after the first round or two of indictments, but they didn't. And so that told me that they've got this active investigation, that they're putting all the resources available, really probably in the state that we have on this. They're not stopping until every stone is unturned.
And it does appear investigators are turning over every stone.
From the standpoint of resources being used, and this tells me that there are numbers of investigators that wake up each and every day looking to develop further evidence.
Most recently, SLED was granted approval to exhume Gloria Satterfield's body to look for more evidence of her cause of death. Condon says this tells him the investigation is far from cold.
I will say this, that given the resources that have been devoted to it, I'm certain that if crimes can be proven, that they will be.
Condon also speculates that investigators are being as thorough as possible before anyone is arrested for the murders of Paul and Maggie.
They're all working together to see not only if they have sufficient evidence for an arrest, but sufficient evidence for a conviction, which is a higher standard.
And finding that missing piece to make an arrest is proving difficult.
I do think that the time does tell me that they have evidence problems in terms of solving these crimes, some serious evidence problems.
Without that evidence, Condon believes the case could fall apart in court.
They want to make sure that if they do make further arrests or make further indictments or accusations, that those charges will stick in court.
And so as the calendar year on the case turns over, legal experts believe it's only a matter of time before the case heats up once again.
I'm thinking a bit that there may be other shoes to drop, and we may know about these other shoes sooner than later.
Again, Condon told me the exhuming of Gloria Satterfield's body tells him the investigation is still very much active. However, if a couple more months pass without any leads, Condon says it could approach a cold case.
Next on News 2.
Aaron just told us that investigators are holding out for that missing piece before they can make a charge. But how are officers working to bring that evidence in? I hear from a retired FBI agent about the forensics process. Thank you for staying with us. Welcome back to the Murdaugh Mysteries 1 year later. 365 days later, those who have been following the case closely are left asking why investigators have been so tight-lipped about what happened the night of June 7th, 2021. The few details we do know paint a gruesome scene. A forensics expert tells me that he believes the lack of details are so that law enforcement can build an unbreakable case.
It's not like you've got a serial killer or you're not got like a crazed gunman running around. This was a targeted killing. They were looking at just these two people. And that seems to be the determination that SLED made early on.
A mother and her son shot multiple times. The husband and father, a widely known attorney, thrust into the spotlight before being named a person of interest, unraveling a wide web of corruption.
It's very hard to anticipate where they are in their investigation, their prosecution. But certainly 1 year on a complex case like this is not a long time.
10:07 p.m. on June 7th, 2021, Alec Murdaugh calls 911 reporting the murders. From then on, investigators worked through the night, collecting evidence from a sprawling crime scene. But Mother Nature put obstacles in their way. Rain moving through the area that night, investigators worked to preserve the scene as quickly as possible.
There is stuff you might lose forensically. If it rained, if it's windy, patterns get blurred.
Colleton County Sheriff, 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office, South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, and others remained on that scene for more than 12 hours.
Once you're sure that the victims are deceased, in this case they were, and you're fairly certain that the killers are no longer in the area or not a present threat, then you can slow down and you can take your time in the crime scene.
Since June 7th, the details we know haven't changed that much. Alec Murdaugh has been named the one and only person of interest in the case. We know a car was towed from the scene belonging to the Murdaughs, and 2 different guns were used in the murders.
Corruption works best in the shadows. And when you shine a light on it, those shadows go away and the corruption tends to be much less effective.
As in a normal case, Chacon says investigators would follow a number of leads from information collected at the scene. Then in the weeks and months to follow, the direction of the investigation can change, sometimes leading to dead ends.
Collect all the evidence, get it to the lab, and then get the lab to send me a report to tell me what it means. Then I can match up what that means with what I know from interviews, from surveillance, from background checks.
But Chacon tells me the Murdaughs' double homicides, not your average investigation or crime. The branches that grew from the initial crime scene complicated things even further.
So forensics is part of it, profiling might be part of it. All of this comes back to somebody like me who's the investigator to build it all together.
He believes investigators are feeling the pressure to make sure this case is airtight.
When you hit the 1 year mark and you have all that forensic evidence that's been analyzed, I think the pieces are being put together, and now they're making decisions on what gets prosecuted first.
Now, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division says it's continuing to investigate connected crimes and, of course, the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, but will not release any information out of fear of damaging the investigation. And of course, with recent developments, including the exhuming of Gloria Satterfield's body, officials say this case is far from a cold case. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back for the last half hour. We've been listening to Riley and Aaron Morgan about the last year, the Murdaugh murders, and what has happened in that time. And as we reflect on that and what's happened, we also want to look ahead, Riley. And one of the big things we want to talk about is Gloria Satterfield, her body being exhumed. That's a big deal.
That's a really big deal. You know, SLED confirmed this week to us, and really what they're going to do is they're going to, exhume her body 4 years later, and they're looking at her bones. Can you prove that Alec Murdaugh's story matches up to her tripping and falling down the stairs? Or was she pushed? Was she hit with an object? Is there something that doesn't line up with the story that Alec gave investigators?
A lot of people are speculating, but we just have to wait and let investigators do their job. And that kind of goes into the next question. We haven't heard a lot when it comes to the deaths, the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh. They are keeping it close to the vest, all the details, but they got to be sitting on a mountain of evidence.
That's the assumption, is there's a ton of evidence there that we don't know what it is, or there's a lot of theories out there what it could be, but that was the thing that I think we heard today, is these investigators want to keep it tight to the chest. They don't want to damage the investigation. They obviously don't want to give it away. And if they know who did it, I'm sure they do. They say there's no threat. There's a reason for that, I'm sure. And it's going to be interesting to see kind of where this goes the next few weeks. Things are heating up, though. That's certainly the thing that we're hearing.
Right. Quickly, how far back are we going to see this thing going? Now we're back to 2005 with alleged financial corruption. It could keep going further and further back.
Attorneys tell me that could go even further back. You have to question everything that Alec's been involved with now.
All right. Riley Benson, great stuff, very
Thank
informative.
you.
We appreciate it.